tiger, remember my saying, the bigger the government, the smaller the citizen. And be sure to listen to Tucson's intelligent election coverage on AM 1030 KVOI, The Voice.
All right, 790-2040 is the number, 6:38 in the morning. Joe Higgins, Christy Simone, Ed Alexander. Joe and I are we're serial business guys, as we like to say. Joe, of course, has had his entrepreneurial fun many times.
Dozen of them. We shared a few of them here, but there's a few others I've opened that are just the balloon business. I did tell you the story around the roof. I had the big ads. Those big 30-foot balloons would be on top of the car dealers. I bought that business.
You did that?
And I remember distinctly. It was on The Specialist at Charlie's over on Broadway. Right, there was Christmas weekend or Thanksgiving weekend, and it was windy. So my guy's on the roof going to take the balloon down because it's going to go out in the road. Right. He's unwrapping, and the dang thing catches a microburst, and the whole balloon goes out into Broadway. Takes all the power out for the Just for Feet and the Circuit City and whatnot. So I show up, Broadway's shut down, fire trucks, no power, people streaming out of the building, and I'm said to myself, what am I doing?
How many days later did you say, I would like to now be out of the balloon business?
It would actually 5 days later. I said, jamming this balloon in the trunk of my car, waiting for the news crew to show up, thinking, oh my goodness, what am I doing?
That's awesome.
So that's my entrepreneurial dream, going down the flames.
Well, to support our support of such things, we have there's a startup weekend. This is the Eller School of Business. Has that been a part of this, or yes?
They were part of it, yeah.
Absolutely.
Startup Tucson organized the event this
and
week.
Tell us about this. Is Justin, Startup Tucson. Well, tell us about Startup Tucson before we get to Charlie and Cheap Avocado, which I love the name.
So Startup Tucson actually came out of the Startup Weekend event last year.
Right.
I used to work for the Arizona Technology Council, and the final event that I did was to organize this weekend event for creating a startup in 54 hours. And during that process, we decided to create an organization that would continue the momentum we were building that weekend throughout the year. And we've worked with a lot of organizations. Our goal is to start to try and break down the silos that tend to develop in a spread out city like we have.
Oh, we're
So our job, as we see it, is to work with all the different organizations that focus on these sorts of things and try and pull them together. And it's one of the things we have to work hard at. I mean, in a city like San Francisco, these sorts of barriers break down very naturally because there's so much density in the community and so much activity going on. Our job is to try and organize as much activity as possible and get people cheering and moving in the same direction when it comes to startups and entrepreneurship. And
now,
innovation.
if there's folks listening that want to follow along on their little box that has words and pictures on it, what's the website for that?
StartupTucson.com.
StartupTucson.com. So now, Charlie, you participated in Startup Weekend.
That's right.
54 hours.
Yep.
And the name of this startup is called Cheap Avocado.
Cheap Avocado, yep. The 2-minute pitch.
Absolutely.
So I'm not the founder. The founder was a guy named Forrest Stanford. So I'll give you his 2-minute pitch.
Sure.
So his idea was he loves avocados. So he would go to the store and he'd get some avocados, and he'd get them for 50 cents a piece, and he thought he had a great deal. So he'd go home and he'd be really happy about it until he talked to his friend, and his friend would say, oh, I got them for 33 cents a piece. And then he'd be really bummed out about that. So
he's got problems.
Yeah. He's a college student. So
okay.
And he eats a lot of avocados.
Could we put the word 12-pack of Budweiser in there? The same word?
Yeah, that would
work that way too.
Yeah. So then, we found there's not a lot of services that can actually do that for you, or do it well. So we wanted to build something that, allows you to price check your whole grocery list and find out if you could just go 2 miles up the road, could you get it for $5 cheaper? And then if that data is sourced real time by community members like your friends, then you'd have the most up-to-date information.
So do you, like if you shop at a Safeway, have you noticed the prices at different Safeways, even in town, are a little more? Like you get closer to the foothills, they go a little up. Have you noticed that?
Of course.
Or is that just me?
No,
okay.
It's just your Safeway that you shop at.
So that would be the point. So you put all this data, your specific barcodes and what you buy every week into this database, and it would say, hey, go down 3 miles and you can get it $20 cheaper.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
So you basically manually input this into a program, the stuff that you usually buy.
Yeah,
and
so
how much you paid for it currently.
Well, you'd barcode scan it. You just scan the barcode into your little smartphone, and then you have your database all listed. Right?
Exactly.
Super cool idea.
Yeah.
Now, I know I've done this for high-end products, like if you're buying a TV or a stereo, something expensive. You're at the store and you scan the little barcode, and it goes on the internet and tells you what you can buy it for.
Right.
But I've never done it for food.
It's difficult to do with food. They've got
Yeah.
thousands of products.
Yeah, exactly. And it's got to be specific on what you want.
Right.
You know, the next step to this would probably be food delivery. I know many stores have tried to do that.
Right.
But once your list is in, then you push the button, hey, send all this to me.
Right. That's one of the things we were looking at is if we can get people to give us that data, then there's lots of possibilities to open up. And
Heck yeah.
taking that data and offering it to the different chains, see what they would
And
want to do.
people's
with it.
perception of how much things cost are getting skewed because, of course, there's now less product in the package.
Right.
As you move through here. So the bag of Lay's potato chips that used to be 14 ounces for, quote, the family size is now 9 for the same price. Or, they're screwing me on how many Fig Newtons are in a box now compared to what it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So
Exactly.
It's kind of a cool, crazy idea and an amazing crud economy, as we like to say, as people are trying to save their shekels.
So I happen to have Ed's list in front of me. Ed, they've been working on your list of grocery items. He's got Jack Daniels, Yoo-Hoo's, Cheese Puffs, and Nutty Butter. Ed,
and Tipperillos.
what's going on over there?
Yeah, cherry Tipperillos. Yeah.
So now we have a young man in a Iron Man shirt. JJ, he's hanging out right in the next great American novel.
He is.
And other than you being a good dad, JJ also participated in Startup Week, right?
Yeah, we did a Startup Weekend for Kids event on Saturday during the weekend. So we brought in about 15 kids, had them come out to the same venue, brought in a school teacher, and had them follow a similar format to what the grown-ups were doing. They came in with ideas to pitch. So the grown-ups on Friday night pitch an idea, and on Sunday they work on it all weekend and present to judges on Sunday. So the kids come in at the beginning of a 5-hour window and present ideas to each other and then brainstorm around it. And then their parents work with them to build out a quad chart, for a chart that they built, a big plaque that they draw out what the picture of the idea or some sort of prototype, a description of the materials that might go into their invention, a list of who the customers are and how much they might charge. So they spent the weekend drawing all that out, and then they recorded commercials about what their product was.
What was the age range of the kids?
Kindergarten to 6th grade.
Okay.
Most of them around 5 and 6, actually.
What were some of the ideas? I mean, was there like a rainbow bazooka or a monkey bathing unit? JJ, what'd you come up with?
A rocket jetpack. So it has fire, and then it has a phone. So there's like this triangle app that's the GPS. So you would just take it out,
right?
And then you would press that button, and then it would like show you around, and then you would put it in. You would take it out and then do that button again.
Where does the GPS take you?
It can take you anywhere.
Yeah. Where did you program yours to go?
To the moon, once, twice to school.
Yeah. Wow,
Nice.
school! You're a good kid. Going to the moon and not only school, no ice cream places or anything like
I'd
that.
go McDonald's.
Yeah, I love McDonald's.
There you go.
And you know what? When I go to college, I'm gonna make a giant one, and then I'm gonna fly right to college, and I won't have to pay to park my car.
Wow,
Nice.
good job, dude.
Nice.
I like that. This kid's sharp. So, was there a name of this company for JJ's rocket ship with a GPS that takes him to school and the moon? Any name?
Just Rocket Jetpack, I think was what
Rocket
it's called.
Jetpack. I like that. Okay, I can dig it. So we got cheap avocado and Rocket Jetpack. Look at your blue chip stocks in the next 5 to 10 years, and
That's right.
see if you can get into these great concepts. So, startupweekend.com is that
StartupTucson.com.
Startup Tucson?
And the
excuse me.
event this weekend was Startup Weekend.
Okay.
And folks,
There it was.
if you look at Stanford University with the handoff from the university sector right into the entrepreneurial sector to the venture funding to the incubators, that is such an incredible part of the future of our community. If we got this great asset in the U of A and all this brain power going on, how do we launch them into companies locally?
So that was actually a big part of what we worked on during this process. And so what we've done is we created, before Startup Weekend this year, we created a hackathon. We brought in a bunch of people to come in and just in 24 hours build some sort of mobile app. Whatever your idea was, work on it. A lot of those students were U of A computer science students. We worked really hard on bringing them out. Then we invited all of them to come to Startup Weekend and explore the feasibility of the business feasibility of whatever they built. Does anyone care about the idea, the technical idea you had? You built something shiny. Does anyone really want to pay for it? And then what we've done with the entire 15 teams from Startup Weekend is we invited them to come into a program called LaunchPad, which actually originated out of Stanford, and we're teaching it here through an organization called Gangplank. And all the teams get to go through this mentoring program to build out their ideas. The 3 winning teams are required to go through this in order to get the prizes that they won. They won admission into the U of A's incubator program, admission into the Idea Funding program, and then the opportunity to pitch the Desert Angels. But they've got to go through all the mentoring and prove out their idea and prove their commitment to this before they're able to move to the next stage.
Super cool.
Yeah,
That's
so we're
awesome.
building that pipeline.
I have a friend of mine locally who her son, who was 17, 18, actually created a couple of different music apps. And his music apps, he couldn't believe it. Started all of a sudden he's making like real dough on this stuff.
Yeah.
And he actually got to attention that he's actually touring. You're gonna love this, with Bjork worldwide because of the work he did on his apps.
Yep.
It's the
pretty
barrier
wild.
to entry to creating your own business on the web is incredibly low.
Yep.
In 2-3 years, JJ's going to be able to build a business online by writing some code, putting it in the app store, and starting to make money.
So I don't think he's wearing the stork dress, but I don't think anyone should. So remember, one more time with a website, Justin.
StartupTucson.com.
StartupTucson.com. Charlie, Cheap Avocado, and the guy who's the founder of it. Best of luck to you guys.
Thank you.
And JJ, you the man, dude. Stay out of trouble.
Yes.
JJ's
Very good.
in kindergarten. And where does JJ go to kindergarten, Justin?
Do you know where you go to kindergarten?
Robbins Elementary.
Robbins Elementary. All right. Well, you better get to school, man. Quit hanging out on the radio.
That's right.
All right, guys. Thanks for
All right,
coming
thanks,
in.
guys. Thank
And look at this kid's jumping up and down. Let's get you to McDonald's and get you some French toast sticks. That's what I would do. So there he is. Wake up, Tucson. 10:30. The Voice.
AM 1030 KVOI, the voice of freedom.